Hello, my dear students. It's Dr.Yogesh Kumar Tiwari, presently working at Government Mahamaya College, Khadgama District, Korea, Chhattisgarh. I have been assigned to teach BA Part 1 English Literature students, and the work which has been given to me to discuss is John Donne and his poems. 2 poems have been prescribed in your course, so we shall be discussing about them. And before I start talking about those poems, I would like to tell you that my lectures are divided into 3 parts. First part will deal with the biographical sketch and information about John Donne. The second part, the sonnet which has been prescribed, the sonnet number 3, Holy Sonnet number 3, My Place Last Seen, and the third lecture will be dealing with Sweetest Love I Do Not Go. So today we are going to discuss about John Donne. John Donne, he was known for his metaphysical pronouns. He was born in the year 1571 or 72. There is a little bit confusion, don't mind. And he died on 31st of March 1631. Yes. He was a great poet, preacher, and divine. He was brought up by a Roman Catholic family. And you know Roman Catholic. And there was a little bit anti-air was going on in London in those days. He got educated in most reputed institutions, educational institutions, like Oxford, like I would say Cambridge in the year 1587, then at Lincoln's Inn in 1592. He got Anglican order also, and he was appointed in divinity. That means he was very much fond of preaching or sermonizing, giving sermons. Just listen to me carefully, because these things are going to be asked in your objective type questions also. And these happenings are going to be correlated with the ideas or thoughts which are expressed in his poems. So, his poems were not published until 1633. But some poems got circulated in manuscript form, except an anatomy of the world known as the first anniversary and the second anniversary known as the progress of soul. These were published in the years 1611 and 12. Just remember these 2 poems. They may be asked in examination. He is considered as the preeminent representative of the metaphysical schools. His poetical works are noted for their metaphorical and sensual style. He is particularly known for his inclusion of sonnets, love poems, religious poems, then the Latin translations, then epigrams. You know epigrams? Epigram is something which includes the very, very pithy saying, very terse and very pithy, very powerful saying. I'll be giving the examples in my lecture. Then songs and satires. So many things he wrote down. He is also known for his sermonizing the things. Further, he was at the center of metaphysical school. And this particular word, metaphysical, is derived from Greek. That is metaphysica and physis. That means meta means beyond, and physica, that further becomes physical, that means nature, that means it becomes beyond the nature. Something which is very, very difficult to be understood by the common man. Further, we can say there is a particular great book, which was published by and written by Professor Herbert J.C. Grierson. He has given his ideas about John Donne, his poetry. Just remember this particular name, Professor Herbert J.C. Grierson. And the name of the book is Metaphysical Lyrics and the Poems of the 17th Century. It was published from Oxford University Press in the year 1921. Here he defines poetry as a poetry which, like that of Divina Commedia or the De Natura Rerum, or perhaps the Goethe Faust, has been inspired by the philosophical conception of universe and the role assigned by the use of these moments which have been given to human spirits in the general drama, in the great drama of the existence. So we have been assigned something to do. We are just like players, actors, and we have to do our own parts in this great drama of existence, my dear students. So the metaphysical poetry deals with such kind of things. These things are beyond the understanding and experience of the common persons. Further, this metaphysical school is known for its style. It is marked by the use of conceits. Conceits? I would like to say something about conceits. Conceit is something which is comparing entirely two unlike things together. And John Donne was master of doing so. He was very much liked comparing the two unlike things. That is called conceit. Then further, the use of conceits then awaits then scholastic learning, argument, and then elaboration of poetic experience. These things were all included in his works. Further, the inclusion of passionate thinking, of what Eliot calls the sensuous apprehension of thoughts. So whatever he thought about, there was some inclusion of sensuousness also. And these qualities are there in the poetry of John Donne. And I would like to name some of the contemporaries, because again these things will be asked in the examination. And the name of the contemporaries and colleagues are very, 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 very difficult to be pronounced. So just listen to the pronunciation. First one is Richard Crusher, then Henry Vaughan, then Thomas Carew, then Andrew Marvell, then Abraham Cowley. He started possibly composing poems during his expedition of Cadiz and Azores in 1597. Two poems, very, very important. The Storm and the Calm were composed during this particular expedition. Just remember one thing very interesting that he would like to smile upon, that he fell in love with a girl. And he got imprisoned also. Why? Because he eloped her. And the name of that girl was Anne More. And he's known for having 12 children. Unfortunately, 5 were not able to survive. 12 children. Remember. Further, during his imprisonment, he got some very, very difficult and harsh experiences of life. And he noted down. his mightier pen allowed him to write down something very, very praiseworthy, and that we are studying right now. And the name of love poems, just remember, the anniversary, the good morrow, the ecstasy, and the canonization. These poems show his intense personal moods as lover. And he has analyzed himself as a very, very experiencing fellow, very, very experienced person. His poetry is characterized by abrupt openings. One of the lines I remember, I would like to say, that is, "Death, be not proud." He directly talks with death. A common person cannot imagine this certain kind of things like he did at his time. Unfortunately, that poem is not in your course, in your BA Part 1. We used to study it. So these features, along with the frequent dramatic and everyday speech rhythms, then his tense syntax, very tense syntax, and his tough eloquence. His eloquence was very, very tough, my dear students. Were both a reaction against the smoothness of Elizabethan poetry and this adaptation that he started writing his own was just personal. Because he had suffered a lot since being born in a Roman Catholic family. He had suffered a lot. And that's why it may be one of the reasons that he started writing in his own style, a very eccentric, a very typical style. And that was something he was known for, John Donne. His early career was marked by poetry that bore immense knowledge of English society, and he met that knowledge with sharp criticism. Another important theme in Donne's poetry is the idea of true religion, something that he spent much time considering about the theology. He is known for writing his theological poetry also, secular poems as well as erotic and love poems. Then further, he is particularly famous for the mastery of metaphysical conceits. There are several examples of metaphorical conceits in your poem. We shall be talking about that in the next lecture. Then after Anglican orders in 1615, he stopped writing much about the secular poems. His religious experience is embodied in the Holy Sonnet. And the Holy Sonnet number 3 is prescribed in your course, mind you. And the name of that sonnet is, "This is my place last seen." And this particular sonnet is going to be discussed, going to be dealt with in my next lecture. So I hope you must have enjoyed this particular lecture about the John Donne. He was a great metaphysical poet, and he was known for his very, very typical kind of abrupt opening, something that was beyond the comprehension of the common man. And he really enjoyed this particular thing. He was very much fond of directly talking to death, directly having conversation with death. Then his mood shifted towards writing the theology, writing about the theology, then secular poems. Then since he got a love affair with Anne More, so naturally so many love poems were also written. And one of the love poems are also there in your course, and that will be dealt. "Sweetest love, I do not go." Then in the next lecture, we shall be talking about that Holy Sonnet number 3. Okay? Thank you very much.